This is number 2, episode 2 of Back to the Yard, which was Dan Selby's name choice for such a podcast.
Yeah, no, it's a good name.
It's a good.
I like it.
That's why I picked it.
Very good. Were there other good options, or was there one good option and it was this one?
I think the other front runner before that was suggested was like Back to the Backyard. So it's sort of a more
Right.
title to that than I think.
Yeah, no, I think this works better.
Yeah, I agree. So I don't know if you saw that I had even done a first one or not, but
I listened to your first one yesterday. Actually, I do my homework.
oh, good stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole idea was sort of inspired by the Colt Cabana Art of Wrestling one. I thought,
Yeah. Now that one I know of, but I've never listened to.
oh,
So
you should probably listen to it.
I probably should, because I like podcasts and I like Colt Cabana, but the two haven't lined up for me yet, apparently.
But yeah, if you have a spare hour or so every week, you should probably listen to it. Or if you want to,
Yeah, I hear it's good.
if you want to catch up on all the other episodes, you should probably put aside something like 55 hours of your life.
I was gonna say probably more than 1 hour in that case.
Yeah. But I thought if that works well for Pro, then it'll work well for Backyard, because we have, whenever you hear stories of boys on the road or whatever, I think there are a lot of parallels, definitely. So
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know where to start, really. Where do I start with you, Scott Henson? Where do I start with
Find people saying that to me a lot. Oh, where do I start with you?
with hot shit, big cat, mildly autistic, mildly artistic, public space,
Yeah, I think I used those back to back.
meal tickets, medical oddity. I'm just reading.
I was gonna say, you're just doing the M's. Do you have like an alphabetical list?
No, I'm just literally on the results page of VCW, which is another thing I wanted to bring up, but basically 2-word nickname Scott Henson. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here on episode 2.
This is
I didn't think I'd make it till the double digits, so I'm honored.
well, to be honest, it was overdue that we would do something like this. Was it?
Yeah, very true.
Ever since I don't know where it started. I think it was me and Luke Sandog who originally did some sort of Skype conversation. Oh.
Yeah, I seem to remember listening to one. It must have been. Did you guys do one after WrestleMania last year?
Oh, I have a terrible memory for this kind of thing. Let's say yes.
Okay, yeah, I definitely remember listening to one by you guys.
If not, then let's pretend it is, for the sake of
Sure.
make life simple. But
I don't think it was this year, because you'd probably remember it better, and 2 years ago seems too far. So I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was last year.
I think you have a much better memory of things in general than me, so I'm gonna say that you're absolutely right.
We'll defer to me on this.
Yeah. Let's just say that you say is gospel. That's easier.
Okay.
So yeah, the 2-word nickname thing.
Yeah.
Because you started. What year did you start wrestling?
2000.
Okay. Was that the VCW from the start?
Yeah, it was 2000 and 2001 up to the fall were at my house on a trampoline. And from day one it was VCW. Fun trivia fact: the other front runner for the name we were going to use was I think it was All Canada Pro. Just because we had just heard of we just heard of, actually, well, yeah, partly All Japan and partly Revolution Pro out of California, and we liked something ending in Pro, even though we were anything but Pro, which we didn't really think about. But at any rate, we did not use that and went with VCW because we thought it lent itself to better chance, ECW style.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's not something we thought about with HCWA. at all.
Oh, that's a great thing to chant. That's your standard 4 letters and a W in there. Like it's perfect.
Is she the Bay? I don't know. We never chanted that. We I don't know. The first Fed name for us was AWF, which was Amazing Wrestling Federation. So
I like that.
yeah, we probably should have stuck with that, but never mind. But VCW, so when you started, were you sort of aware that you were? This is a weird question, but were you aware that you were a backyard Fed or one of many backyard Feds? Or
No, absolutely not. We weren't. We thought we were the only people doing it. I don't know if that was the same for you guys or not.
I think I probably watched backyard wrestling before I started doing it. To be honest.
Yeah, we definitely hadn't. We thought we were brilliant when we thought of the idea a few shows in to start taping it. Like this was revolutionary. No one had ever come up with this great idea before to actually tape what you were doing.
Yeah.
So that's where we were at.
I think
it was probably a year and change in before we discovered anything else on online.
Yeah. So with so that was you, Justin. I think Dan joined sometime around the trampoline stage, right?
Yeah, Dan and from our inception until like spring 01, the only people in the Fed you or probably anyone listening would have heard of is me and Chewy, because it was me, Chewy, and just other guys from our high school, none of whom carried on past 2001. And then in spring 2001, Lenny D and Chris Mason's Fed from basically the next town over, Burnaby, got in touch with us online, and and then they started coming, like May or June 2001, and then I met Dan at an indie show in June 2001, and then he started coming shortly after.
Yeah, I think I vaguely. It's one of those things where if someone asked me how you met, I probably wouldn't be able to recall it. But as you're saying that, I can remember being told that was how it happened.
Yeah.
The way my memory tends to work.
Yeah, because I remember it was on the Death Valley Driver message board.
Yeah.
Because he was a member, but I didn't know him. But I saw occasionally in one subsection of the board at the time, people, when they were going to indie shows, just like gave a shout out saying, "Hey, I'm going to this indie show. Anyone wants to say hi, go for it." So I did that, and then Dan responded, and that's how we met.
Right. So from the early days, sort of the oldest members people will have heard of, it's you, Justin, Kyle, and Kevin, and Dan.
Yes.
But sort of fallen by the wayside would be people such as Hard on Hung and
he was a high school guy with us. Hard on Hung, Andrew Poole, Dan Scarrow.
Didn't he go to his Lost party or something?
Yes, absolutely.
That's right.
And Andrew was there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have met a couple of very very OG VCW people.
Who I met at the last episode of Lost screening party, kind of dressing up as people from Lost party, right?
Yeah. That was good times.
Well, I was 1953 or 55 Charles Widmore.
Yeah, you were the 50 whatever version of him.
Yeah. And you.
I was Arst.
Yes. Which is a great costume, which I would have thought was just very easy costume compared to my, like, what is it, like a boiler suit kind of thing? I don't know.
Yeah, mine was definitely lower maintenance. And then Justin had the ill-fitting Dharma jumpsuit.
And spent the whole of the day beforehand trying to find a way to make his hair,
yes.
like Josh Holloway's long watch, which was ill-fated. Yeah. But that was that the most recent time I was over? No.
Yeah, that was 2010. That was last year.
Okay. Because I get confused, because the first time I came with a bunch of people, second time it was by myself.
Yeah.
Then
third time, bunch of people.
And then the fourth time there was no wrestling event, that's right.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. that's why I was confused. Because like, I'm sure last time I went to wrestle, I was with a bunch of people, but they definitely didn't go to this lost party.
No, that was just you. And so you've been here each of the last 4 years. So you've got 2.5 months to get here in 2011. So get on that.
Very busy couple of months. So
very busy.
I seriously do, but I was very sad not to come this year because like when I first looked at flights, it was more expensive than it ever had been, and I didn't have money at the time. And then the closer it got, it sort of steadily started to rise.
Yeah.
And it was to the point where it just became completely unfeasible. And I think I'm glad that the Australians did come over, otherwise it would have been pretty of a non-event, I suppose.
It 100% would have been a non-event had the Australians not come, because they and Siege, who I count as an Australian, were literally the only people who came. Which was crazy. I don't know if we timed it badly, or if no one has any money anymore, or if nobody likes us anymore. But there seemed to be a whole lot of interest, and then just
it's sort of like the opposite.
Everybody bailed.
The opposite to Heat Fest this year, where there was a ton of interest from everybody.
And no show.
No show. Yeah. So what happened with that?
Yeah, cause since late 2010, I had been counting on going to England in summer 2011, but didn't happen.
So there's only one person we have to blame for this, who will be named here, Nada Pardis.
That's the opposite of the way I thought that was going to be going. Who will be named right now?
Well, who else do you think is to blame for this? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess there's not a lot left to the imagination. So yes. And weren't there promises made after the previous year? About hosting more if you took the ring down really fast, and then you did take the ring down really fast or something?
And you know what? I don't mind saying it was all Nada's fault or whatever, because I'm looking at Facebook right now, and the motherfuckers unfriended me. So fuck that guy. Nada Pardis, fuck you.
Might have to make a trip down to Aylesbury to settle some business.
I wouldn't bother. It's not best. I wouldn't go there if Heat Fest wasn't happening, to be honest.
Probably not.
But VCW has a pretty good track record for super shows. I don't think there's been a place where more people have flown out to at the same time that I can think of.
I think we do have. I think we have the fly-in record. I think we set it for Versus the World 4 in 2007, which I think was 19, and then we broke it with Versus the World 6 in 2009, which I think was 25.
Yeah.
Which is really a lot of people flying out on their own money, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then they didn't have any money to come in 2010. But
I guess, that killed everyone's finances for 2+ years.
Yeah, definitely. But it's quite amazing the discrepancy in prices year to year. First time was cheap. Second year was about 200 more. Third year was cheap again. But I have to fly 4,500 miles, so
it does really fluctuate a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the second time, because I went to England 08 and 09, and the second time, although we did book our tickets later that time, second it was about $350 more. So, £200, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I want to talk about the fact that VCW died by your own hands, and from the ashes rose.
I took the sword myself.
Yes, and then you pulled it out and fixed yourself. Medicine, Scott Henson.
Yeah.
What is it? International Society of Extreme Dudes in Extremeness. Something like that.
You got it. Yeah, we well, we had to think of something interesting, and I think that qualifies as interesting.
Where does these initials come from, or is it just
that? It actually came from a It's from a Zach Galifianakis DVD, Live at the Purple Onion. It's called. Everyone should go watch it because it's awesome. Uh, uh, and it was just one of his throwaway jokes saying he bought a used car with but it had a custom license plate on it, and the license plate was said "I sucks dicks," ISUXDIX, and when people ask what that's about, he has to tell them, "Oh, it's I sell used Xerox, digital interface Xerox," or I sure xylophone, do I xylophone? So so that's where it came from. I don't know how we made the jump from just that joke to the name for a Fed, but
just that you knew that you were going to start again, and it wasn't going to be called VCW, and you just needed some initials, and they were floating around.
Yeah, kind of. And actually, if I think about the timeline right, I think the name actually came before we were sure we were going to start anything. We just sort of had it on the back burner. It sort of just came up in a conversation. And then when we actually did decide we were going to do it, we pretty much had the name ready to go. So.
All right, and everything sort of followed on from that, such as the theme of the show titles and the champion of men fighting and grappling.
Yes, and no, it's like I'm sure people have made the connection, but no one has actually commented on what the acronym of the title stands for, and we won't hear either. It's not appropriate radio.
No, okay, we will not mention that. Have you, just by the by, I'm sure you have seen the CWA revival of what's it called? Romance?
Romance, yeah. I've seen number 1. I think they recently put out number 2, and I haven't seen that yet. But yeah, it's great.
So if you enjoyed the first one, I would recommend the second one.
Yeah, I hope they do more. It looks like I think they said they've already taped more actually. So that's cool. It's nice to see those guys doing stuff.
Yeah, definitely. It sort of reminds me of WAG, the wrestling green, was it?
Yeah.
Where sort of
they're very well, they're on a because they're just on mats outside and low intentionally low budget. So but yeah, I like it. Then lots of fun.
Backyard is ever particularly high budget. I don't know. You must rent your stuff. I don't know. I have some sort of deal going on to have a ring, because that's something you've had for most of VCW is like a ring and a building, everything, which isn't.
Yeah. Really, at this point, it's been what we've had for the bulk of our existence. Because we in 2000 and we started using Ring, not exclusively, but started using it in like spring 2002, and by I guess by 2000, the end of 2003, it was only rings. For the most part indoors, although there was some brief outdoor action in 2004.
Yeah, I remember those videos.
But yeah, because when we went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania last year in summer 2010, it was a lot of our first time wrestling on a base in like years and years and years.
Yeah, was it sort of a weird sort of transition to go the other way? Like I first wrestled on like a ring base or ground or whatever, and then you have to it's weird, just like the opposite. You'd expect, because you've got ropes restricting you, whatever, and then that it would be, but it's not restrictive. It's like you have 10 times more things you can do when you've got like a ring and everything than if you just got nothing.
Yeah.
So even though you've
got, I agree. Yeah, it's definitely it definitely takes some getting used to, because most matches you put together are going to have some kind of rope running spot probably, and obviously in the base you're not getting that unless you do the god awful whip him and then he bounces off imaginary ropes. But there wasn't much of that.
Yeah, I think everyone, especially in NAW, was sort of guilty of that kind of thing. I mean, I would try if I was in the audience or whatever, and someone was whipped towards me, I'd sort of make a conscious effort to sort of push them back into the ring, as if
Yeah, see, that's okay. If if there's something physically there, then by all means, bounce off it.
Yeah. But so still on the results page here of VCW, and it strikes me that I don't think that any backyard fed or probably any indie fed really has as detailed results as these. Does it sort of?
You're probably right. In terms of both backyard and indie, which I don't know. It bothers me that they don't, because why wouldn't you? I don't know. I guess some people just don't care, but I do. I like to keep a record of everything that was done. So if I want to go back and see something, I can find it very easily. But I guess some people just aren't sort of detail oriented like that, and don't care. And after it's happened, it's over and gone forever.
So do you have everything on tape still?
I do have everything on tape. Yeah. Actually, everything on. I actually converted everything. All the old tape stuff I converted to DVD, and then everything from sort of 2005 on was on DVD in the first place.
Okay, so that's with all your. Do you still have all
so I do have. I've got about a. That's probably.
Sorry, do you still have all the like the?
What's that?
You had all the tape trading. You're a tape trader, right?
Yeah.
From the video. Do you still do any of that, or is it sort of died down, or?
Yeah, I still do some. I'm not doing as much as I have in the past, because I think people have finally figured out torrents, which is fine, because I myself haven't paid for anything that I've acquired. It's been like 100% torrents for, I don't know, since 2008 or something, and
Yeah.
I've always said, why are people buying this from me when they could just go download it? But I guess they're finally sort of catching up. But like I said, I still do stuff here and there. Oh, and I guess it makes sense what I'm doing now, because it seems to mostly be like custom compilations. So yeah. I can see, paying for that.
Yeah, you don't want to have to track down every little last thing. Or... Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice to get it in one place. But yeah, so I do some of that, but definitely not to the degree I was doing it, 5 years ago or whatever.
What sort of how busy was it back then?
At sort of peak times, I would get probably 10, 15 orders a month, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So, but was it true that you had like a cease and desist from Ring of Honor or something like
that? 3. 3 from Ring of Honor, where I actually had to send them money to avoid being sued. One from WWE, and then they seemed to leave me alone after I sent them money, and one from TNA, which I completely ignored because they're incompetent, and I was right, because they did nothing about it.
Just like how everything from top to bottom in that company is just, you can just rely on it just falling over itself. I don't know. I was like,
because I'm like,
I'm a wrestling
like when I got the cease and desist, I'm like, guys, I've seen your product. I am not going to worry about this. You have bigger fish to fry than me.
Oh dear. But but talking about the whole traveling thing. I mean, what was the first time you ever traveled outside of your own sort of area? Was it the Backyard Fest 7?
First time I traveled, that'd be it was me, Dan, and Justin going to Backyard Fest 7, which would have been July 2004. So we were kind of 3-4 years into our careers at that point. So it was like a big deal then, because like there was, I think, a couple people in, maybe Fest 5 or 6 had flown in. I think Shane Legend flew in from Florida once, but like fly-ins were not the norm at all at that time. So it was a big deal. So I guess it was Russ Myers or Matt Schock that got a hold of us and like said, "Hey, you guys want to come?" And we're like, "Whoa, fly to Ohio to wrestle, eh? Instead of just driving somewhere locally. That's a lot different." But
how long of a flight is that?
So we went for it. Vancouver to Cleveland is like 4 hours.
Okay. It's funny
Somewhere
that
in there.
like you would pretty much have to fly between Vancouver and Cleveland. I imagine it takes like I don't know how long it would take, days probably.
It'd be a hell of a drive.
Yeah.
It'd be definitely a several day drive.
Or like Greyhound or trains or whatever. I don't know what the transit system is up too much there or not, but
Yeah, and anything below air travel is definitely you'd be measuring it in the days.
yeah. Because the first time
Which
I
is really a
travelled
lot
to
of air
an
travel.
event was I went to Welsh Fest in 2004, and that's in Newport, South Wales, and that was a 3-hour train ride, and that seems
Okay.
pretty that seemed very scary to me at the time. Well, like a big deal. So for your first trip to be actually boarding
Yeah,
a plane
yeah, for sure.
is seems a lot more of a bigger deal to me. I don't know. Then again, it starts off with
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, it was late.
like walking down to your friend's house to wrestle, and then the next thing you're going to the next town or something, and then it's a
Yeah.
3-hour train ride, and then that becomes ho home or whatever, and then I'm doing a 24-hour door-to-door journey from my house to Vancouver.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
how did it get to this point?
I don't know. It escalates.
It just seems like uh, you always sort of take it for granted. I don't think you can really take a 4,500-mile journey for granted ever, but maybe if I did it every week. But
Yeah. Yeah, maybe if you did it every week. That's time consuming though.
very, I don't think I could keep that up in any way, financially, physically,
No.
emotionally.
No, I wouldn't imagine. I wouldn't expect you to.
I'm jumping all over the place with this because I haven't written anything down or anything. But going back to like early days, you you just wrestled, pretty much messed about, doing what you'd seen on TV or tapes or whatever to begin with. But you guys did get trained pretty early on, right?
But yeah, fairly early. Yeah, because we started screwing around in 2000, and then then we did some training in summer '03.
Okay. And
Yeah,
when you were,
it was good. I'm glad we did because sorry.
oh, you go on. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I remember seeing a match that you and Dan did. I can't remember if you used some name, Jimmy James, something like that. And Dan was Lincoln Page or Lincoln Page or whatever.
Yes.
So was that sort of like
that was our first.
When you trained, was it sort of like, oh, we're gonna
that was our first.
We're gonna be indie wrestlers now, or we're just gonna learn more, or was it, oh, we'll just learn more and be good at BCW or make BCW better, or did you sort of have any ambitions in wrestling particularly?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, we weren't sure where it was going to go because we got trained. Yeah, got trained in summer '03. That match with me and Dan that you mentioned was November '03, which was our first match at that ProFed ASW All Star Wrestling. After getting trained, and so I think if I remember right, in like late '03, we were sort of talking about if things if things look like they're going well with indie stuff, then we probably will stop VCW. If I remember right, maybe Dan can correct me later if I'm wrong, but I think we were saying if the indie stuff was going really good, then we'd stop VCW at Canada Day '04, which we did our big show, which is July 1st. because that was our sort of big show of the year every year. But the way it went, the indie stuff didn't go very well. The Fed ran like once every month or two. It was run very badly, and just was not fun basically. And BCW was much more fun, so I'm glad we kept doing that. But the training we did get a lot. Definitely improved us a lot just in terms of skills and fundamentals and all that. So it was a really useful thing in getting us a lot better. And then the ones of us who trained sort of imparted that to everyone who didn't, which was good.
Yeah, it's weird. The more people you wrestle who have trained or have been influenced by people who have trained, sort of the more you learn. It's like you could almost sort of get because there are so many people in the background now who are trained or have had training, that you pick up bits and bobs all over the place anyway. But I remember we were at NAW once, and I remember what it was. It was Josh Wall's parents were concerned that he was going to get hurt, I guess, or they were concerned for some reason or other. So they had complained to the council about what we were doing or something, which seems pretty harsh, I suppose. But so they had some council person come down to see what we were doing. So we had Chris Taylor, who's very experienced in indie wrestling, do like a training seminar for us while they were there, kind of thing. And most people, were pretty familiar with we just did drills and stuff. But I quite enjoyed it, really. I quite enjoyed just doing, all the basic fundamental stuff in training. But I didn't see it through.
Yeah, it's good to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And when was this?
Oh, when was the Chris Taylor training thing? I don't know. I have no idea. Well, let me think about this. He must have been. See, I can't look back over results and stuff because
exactly. I know it's.
We used to have the results up and stuff, but then the website fell into disrepair and isn't around anymore, so I can't look back. But let's see, it must have been somewhere in the lead up to the Britfest, which was main evented by Tyrant and Chris Taylor, which I think was...
Which was 09 or 8? One of those two.
One of them was Tyrant and Danny Dreamer, and the other one was Tyrant versus Chris Taylor. I can't remember which way around it is.
I think it was. This is a half guess. I think it was Dreamer first and Taylor second. So Taylor's probably 09.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Well, we're just going to say that you're gospel, so. So it was somewhere just before then, I think. What was I? What was my train of thought going? I don't know.
It's fine. Actually, one thing before I forget, just back onto the results pages, because you're saying we're the only ones who have it. I don't know if it's still up anywhere, but actually, someone you mentioned last podcast, Dave Sandstorm actually had, I think, as meticulous results for his Fed MWF as we did.
Huh.
So I want to give him credit on that one.
Yeah, well, I think he's another guy who likes his thoughts organized or records kept. So that doesn't surprise me too much.
Another borderline obsessive compulsive.
Well, let's not go into that. But I mean, when I look at the list of people who've gone through like UK BYW at least, I think there's only maybe 2 or 3 significant names that I haven't, met in person or spoken to or whatever, or crossed paths with, which maybe isn't that surprising because England's a fairly small country, and it's a fairly small community, but I think you've probably met the majority of people, in the North American and, if not as well, Australian scene as well, and UK scene. So I'm trying to think if there's a more well-travelled person than you, actually.
Yeah, definitely pretty well traveled along with Dan and Justin. Although I've got Australia on them. Yeah, I think the other person is probably Siege. I think he's the only other one who's done in North America. Although he's done much less in North America. He's just done Ontario, where he is, and Vancouver, and then England and Australia.
Yeah, he's trying to break into the States, but just hasn't managed it yet. Never mind.
Yeah, he was talking about coming to the Chicago, Illinois show we did in September, but it didn't pan out for him for whatever reason. I think because he's mainly a deathmatch guy, and I don't think there was really anyone that good to do a deathmatch with going, so I don't think he was that enthused about the whole thing.
Oh, that's a shame. I really liked Siege when I met him, so I always want there to be another Heat Fest where everyone comes, like all you guys and Siege and Starbucks. Maybe not Lee Andrews, but
yeah, maybe not Lee Andrews. And actually, probably not Starbucks either. He hasn't. I think he probably hasn't wrestled in a year.
No.
Since he got engaged and moved to Florida.
Okay. See, definitely.
Yeah. But I'm sure he'd still like to do something. I just think he's had limited opportunity.
I just recall the last time I saw him. I think it was in, what was it, versus the World 7, 6, 7? I don't know.
Man, I half regret titling the show the way we did because nobody ever knows what the actual show it was. Because for those who don't know what we did, because we'd always do like a lot of like movie titles and stuff, like Die Hard 2, Die Harder, or whatever. You have the title, the sequel number, and then colon, and then like a subtitle. So we had like Versus the World 2, 4 reels, and to a lesser extent, BCW Versus the World 4 reels, and so we decided to be really obtuse, and our subtitle for Versus the World 6 was Versus the World 7. So
you couldn't really do 7.
The show wasn't Versus the World 7. It was just the subtitle of 6. We had 6 was the last one. So yeah, that'd be the one we're talking about in 09.
Yeah, and me and Steve Farrell were trying to convince Starbucks that he had to come back to England, and he was saying that that was the only way he could get that. I think there was 3 ways. The first one was to get a big-ass promotion. The second way was to win the lotto. And the third way was for his parents to die and leave him a lot of money. And apparently none of those things happened.
I think I remember this, yeah. Yeah, sadly, Starbucks are still kicking. And
it's a shame.
And, little Jimmy did not get the inheritance he needed to go to England.
I just love the fact that Steve went that time as well. Like, I knew the first time I went that Steve had to come as well, and I knew when I went with the group the second time, which was my third time, that he had to come again. Because there's something about Steve which just makes every situation more fun.
Yes, absolutely.
I just remember when we first...
I remember really glad it came both times.
We first got off the plane, coming to Vancouver the first time. I think we went to like Boston Pizza or something was the first place we went. And Steve went off to use the facilities, and as soon as he was gone, everyone just started raving about how great he was.
Yeah, no, he's an awesome dude.
Yeah, definitely.
Now he got hurt doing something. Was it last year?
It must have been last year. Yeah. Last year we had something. Well, we had Heat Fest, but the 2 or 3 days before that we had something called Alt Fest, which was
right. And that was at RCWA.
Yeah, in Essex, RCWA.
Yeah.
and there was a match. It was Steve versus MOS, who is Man of Steel.
And is colored.
Yes.
I don't know why I chose that word.
Well, as your word is gospel, that is now how they shall be referred to henceforth.
Great.
So anyway, this is when Steve was still doing his gentry sort of lord kind of character, which is, I guess, is his Willie Regal inspired persona.
Yeah.
And which is what he tends to do when he's a heel, I suppose. And it wound up. Mm-hmm. So obviously, when Steve's wrestling, generally he sort of goes OTT and really, goes for it with his personality. So as soon as he gets hit with this, it was a spiral tap, and MOS's lower back region smashed him in the face, and immediately, there wasn't that spring in his step. He didn't get up or really even sell it. So it's always worrying when you have like a big injury like that, and it was sort of like I had a flashback to almost a year to the day before, taking Dan to the hospital as well.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so it was very worrying, especially with Steve, who's usually so animated. Like, he had like a fractured jaw and stuff, he couldn't even speak, and he was very heavily concussed.
Yeah, and a concussion?
Yeah, concussion, yeah.
Yeah.
There is a delay in this, by the way, I think, in the feed, so trying to compensate for that. Anyway, so...
Yeah, that's fine, yeah, there's a second or two.
Yeah, but he didn't wrestle for a while after that. I think he only started wrestling again this summer. Like, he went back to us. He spent quite a lot of time, sort of not involved in any kind of wrestling at all. But now he's back in RCWA, and I went there a few months ago and wrestled, but it was a terrible commute to get there. It was like 5 hours on a coach, and then more traveling, and then the same again back in the same day. So I'm probably not going to do that again.
Or at least fairly sparingly, because a round trip in a day, that'll take a lot out of you.
Yeah, definitely. But it's weird though, because the whole scene's kind of a little bit dead now. I mean, I suppose people in RCWA might dispute that because their Fed's still running, kind of thing. But I think it takes more than like...
Yeah, they're doing stuff regularly, but yeah, it seems like post NAW, everything like really, really slowed down.
Yeah, I don't know if that many people from NAW are still doing anything at the moment, or like at least not regularly. And I've heard like things like...
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a lot.
I've heard like RWL in Blackburn, which is Corey Follow, whatever. He sort of runs that. I've heard people say that they're going to start some NAW type thing up there, and I've heard Steve say that this RCWA thing is going to bring it back as well. But it's never going to be the same, I don't think. Just because if it's not the same people, then it's just not the same. And it's kind of sad to sort of say, when I go there, it doesn't feel the same. But I just don't feel like it's anything like it. So that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, because I remember you saying in the first one, because it's not the people you like came up with, so you don't have like the same connection to it. So yeah, that's it's too bad, but understandable.
You guys are definitely lucky that you could just sort of pick up almost where you left off. And it's, I was so happy when you did bring it back, because I used to love, seeing that there were new clips out or whatever, and downloading and watching them. So I think it's great that you've brought it back. And it's like almost even, I think
I'm
as well, from the last days of VCW, like having like some attendance issues, as you understand it, which I'm sure happens with a lot of feds with not that many members. But it's like,
yeah,
and like especially I want to say, Wade is just. I mean, I think you guys all knew that he was ridiculous, but he seems to be getting a lot more attention since it started back up again, which is cool.
Yeah, like he's been totally killing it since we started, which he's really had the potential to be doing what he's doing now since probably 2005 or 6, but it took a lot of heavy cocaine use and going to jail for him to straighten up and sort of have full commitment from him. But like honestly, since he's been back from jail in which I guess was 2009, he's been awesome because like we would have liked to have him be world champion, like I said, probably 5 years ago, but we could never do it because like who knows if he's gonna show up this week.
Yeah, definitely.
Was sort of the situation.
You don't want
to. He's been
sort of yeah.
Since we started at the end of last year, I can't say a bad thing about him. He's been totally awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I remember the promo between Lenny D and Chris Mason, where Chris Mason was the champion for like 9 months and hadn't shown up, or like he'd moved away or something like that.
Yeah.
And what was it? The apple? Hitting him over the head with an apple or something?
That was the apple. Yeah, that for a 7-year-old promo, that gets quoted a lot.
Wasn't that based on?
I'm a hungry man. I've been preparing for this shit all week.
Wasn't that based on like an Excalibur promo or something like that? Or there was something like he had a brick in the toilet. I don't know.
There was another. He did. He did Excalibur's surprise nigga promo, which was a different one, also in 2004, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now that
that one was
Excalibur, PWG comes to mind, and they have you have funny show names. I'm just going to quote some that I'm seeing here. Cakes and pies. It was the most I ever threw up. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Okay. Lenny D's a series of unfortunate events followed by the event wherein everybody has fun and nobody gets hurt.
Yes.
What was the story behind that?
Because the show Lenny D is a series of unfortunate events. I can't remember the details, but like the show sucked. Somebody definitely got hurt. I couldn't tell you who. And we're like, I think that show title was kind of a curse. So this one, so the next one, let's name it what we want to happen. The show wherein everybody has fun and nobody gets hurt.
And was there success that you can remember?
I think there was success. I think the show title goes a long way to determining the outcome.
So so you have all these good show names such as Fuck I Don't Know and all sorts. But point I'm trying to make is PWG also have their fair share of Pro Wrestling Guerrilla has their fair share of good wrestling show names. So was that sort of, were you aware they were doing that, or did you do it first, or what was? Is it just a coincidence?
I think I gotta say we did it first because we've been doing. They definitely improved with time, but pretty close to the beginning, we started doing like amusing show titles. It was pretty much all the case since at least 0102, and PWG started in 2003, and basically the two pro feds doing good show names right now are PWG and Chikara. Both of whom started doing it after us. I'm not saying they took the idea from us, I'm not saying they didn't take the idea from us.
That's refreshing after
But
listening to Alex Shane on Colt Cabana's podcast claiming responsibility for everything good that's ever happened to wrestling. So I appreciate that. It's kind of like, oh, this whole CM Punk angle that's going on now, we did it first. Okay, sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure the people doing the CM Punk angle got the idea from Alex Shane. I must say, a very household name in North America.
And especially in England, everyone knows who Alex Shane is if you listen to what he has to say about himself.
Yes.
So, I know we've done a ton about this, but what was the sort of like the main reason why you stopped doing VCW in the first place?
Main reason we stopped was everyone was, because we were pretty much for all of 2009, we were running just about weekly, and the ring we had at the time was the stiffest ring we ever had. So everyone was legitimately like really banged up, and like everyone had some kind of injury. Like I can't think of one fully healthy person on the roster come like spring summer 2009, and I guess we're kind of figuring we had to end sometime. We wanted to end. Well, we were going to end on a Canada Day, like we always do. But then we figured we could get 2 big shows out of it. So then we did Canada Day, and then we ended later in the month of July. And it was just a couple of factors. Yeah, really a big one was everyone being very hurt and like legit not being able to do it on a weekly basis, and a pretty small roster, which we still have now, but yeah, so we figured we would we kind of from the beginning of 2009 we had pinpointed that as when we were going to end, and then just sort of worked towards that, and then and it was fine for probably 8 or 10 months after that, and then kind of spring, early summer 2010, like a lot of the guys in the Fed are sort of coming to me saying, kind of want to do stuff again, and I sort of did too. I had never gone that long between having a match, because like we went to England right after our last show, and then I ended up going to Australia a couple months later, and then Ohio for Beyond the month after that. So I still did some, but nothing locally since July 2009, and most of the guys in the Fed, besides a little bit of Dan and Chewy here and there, hadn't done anything since July 2009, and so they were getting the itch for it even more so than me. So a lot of guys were like, "Hey, let's do something again," and I'm like, "Yeah, all right, that's I could go for that." So then we just sort of got back in touch with one of the indie guys who had just got an indoor location for their training ring again, and and then just hooked up with them and went back to doing what we were doing, and we tried to make things somewhat different, so it wasn't just straight up VCW took a break for a year and change and then came back exactly the same. Like we changed the name obviously, and as far as the videos we put out, we did a much different format there to make that a little more interesting, and sort of package each one as an episode. And we actually ended up taping, because before it would just be the clips from one day of shows is what we always did for VCW, and for this we're often taping an episode over several days depending on people's availability and all that. So it's definitely a much different format. It's like taping TV basically, as opposed to just taping a show and putting clips of that day up.
Yeah. And you do a lot more sort of promos and segments and skits, I guess.
Which was actually something we started doing right at the end of VCW. like sort of into like that half of 2009 that we ran, and we really liked it, and that was like the best thing we did towards the end of BCW's run. So when we came back, we definitely wanted like heavier emphasis on storylines and promos, just because it makes more interesting, and it's like it's a different dynamic to things, as opposed to just going out there doing matches, you know.
Yeah, definitely. What you said before, like how you arranged to have the ring and also how you got trained and everything, was there ever like any bad blood or negative feeling from the indie guys? The fact that you were like backyard or, running in their building or anything like that? Or there's ever been indie guys who just sticks to you?
It wasn't non-existent, but it was pretty minor. The actual like promoters of the feds who we dealt with were always cool. Well, of course, one trained us, and then the other, who we dealt with later on, was always fine with whatever. Sometimes we'd occasionally go into the ring after the Fed had just finished training, and you'll definitely occasionally hear like, "Oh, the backyarders are here." Like that's something we've definitely heard. But it's always kind of funny because it's usually one of the worst guys in the Fed who says that, like someone who like all of us are way better than. So it's not like it hurts our feelings or anything. Like we don't care. Like we know where we're at. We know where they're at. So it's really no big deal.
But then some of your guys have sort of gone on to wrestle in the local indie feds and beyond. What's the name of the guy who is doing really well? But I think he was only did one or two matches in VCW. Is it like Kyle O'Reilly or someone like that?
Kyle O'Reilly did one match ever with us on like a very random. It wasn't even like a weekend show. I think it was like a Wednesday show. So we had like 5 or 6 people there, maybe. He was a friend of Alan Creasy and Jacob Miles, and he had yarded with them a bit in their old Fed, and he came out and had one 3-way with those two guys, and he was great for no training, like super athletic, like really natural. I remember one very specific thing. He had like the best Northern Lights suplex, like bridging, I'd ever seen. It was really good, and we're like, damn, this guy should come up more often because he could be really good. And we said after the match, like, dude, you're really good, especially and I think that was his first time in a ring. And he said, yeah, I'd like to come more, but I'm really busy with rugby. And we're like, okay, well, if you ever can come out, by all means, please do. And then 2 or 3 months later, he was training with ECCW, and now he's getting an ROH tag team title shot.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
I like the way that sort of connections like that happen.
Yeah.
Like, I think when Dan was showing me European uppercuts, he was saying, like Mike Quest taught me, and then Mike Quest was taught by this person who was taught by Daniel, like Danielson, Brian Danielson, whatever. So by proxy,
yeah.
I've just been taught how to do European uppercuts by Brian Danielson. Then is what you're telling me.
Exactly.
It's weird. It's a small world after all. If you want to put it that easily.
Yeah, it really is, especially in this community. But yeah, Kyle O'Reilly, I wish he had stuck around, but I guess I guess what he ended up doing worked out the best for him, so I can't really fault him for that. And super nice guy too. He hasn't got like a big head or anything.
Probably would have not worked out as well for his wrestling career, I suppose, if he'd stuck around.
Yeah.
But VCW would have had
I think he did okay
to the roster.
I was gonna say we would have had another really good guy on the roster. I just worry about, because he's sort of Davey Richards' boy, so I worry about the guy because Davey Richards is a piece of shit.
Davey Richards came.
I hope his personality doesn't rub off on Kyle. but it hasn't yet, so that's good.
Dave Richards came to our town a few months ago to wrestle for the Fed, which I trained with. And
did he try to take over the local training facility and then tear it down when he was told no? Because that happened.
No, he did a seminar, but I think it was just like a, come and do a seminar and we'll pay you this money kind of thing. So,
yeah.
But the guy, the promoter, or the guy who runs the Fed, sort of came into my work. I work at a bar and a bowling alley, basically, which you've been to. And he used to work there, and he knows me. So he came in with some friends, and he was like, "Oh, on Sunday we've got Davey Richards. Are you gonna come and watch it?" I was sort of like, well, for one thing, I'm working here anyway, and for another, I'm not gonna sort of go out of my way to see someone just kick people and then not feel pain, and then as soon as they get the pin, immediately die. That's kind of a Davey Richards match that I've watched 5 times in the past.
He has very good adrenal glands, I'll say that.
Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah.
To be honest, if I wasn't working, I probably would have gone. But I did go the next month to see Colt Cabana, so it's all good.
Yeah, I definitely see Colt before Davey.
Yeah, which was great. He was so funny. I don't know. You went to WrestleMania 19, right?
Yes.
Have you ever been to any other like WWE events or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what. So I went to a Raw in May 2000, which was, I believe, the return of Biker Taker. So we heard American Badass by Kid Rock probably 7 or 8 times that show, including it being performed live once.
Okay.
That was fun. And I've been to a couple of house shows, and pay-per-view wise, I went to In Your House Rock Bottom, December 98. And then then WrestleMania 19, March 03. And we went to whatever the hell the Elimination Chamber was in Seattle. I guess it was No Way Out 09. And then we went to Over the Limit 2011 in Seattle.
All right. What month was that in?
That was May. It was the first Randy Orton Christian pay-per-view match, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Which means a lot coming from me because I really hate Randy Orton. But I'll be the first to say that match ruled. And the main was the John Cena versus Miz and Alex Riley handicap I Quit match, basically.
Yeah, okay.
Which was like 20 minutes of like Saw level torture porn on John Cena, and then John Cena channeled Davey Richards' adrenal glands and chased Miz up the aisle and put him in the STF, and Miz started saying I quit before the hold was even applied. So Miz looked like a fucking geek.
Oh dear.
But just a god awful pay-per-view main event. Just I can't believe they did that.
Nothing surprises me insofar as WWE and their use of John Cena to build or not build other people.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it have been? Sometimes he has good pay-per-view matches. Do you remember that match he had with Umaga? I think it was like a New Year's Revolution or something like that.
I think it was Rumble. I think it was Royal Rumble 07, and it was fantastic.
This part of me just likes to see, just 2 power guys just run headfirst into each other and just see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that match was really good, and I'm ashamed to say I actually haven't watched the Cena CM Punk supposed 5-star match from Money in the Bank yet, even
You
though
didn't
it's been
watch
sitting
it?
on my computer since the day after it happened.
Oh, you should have watched it live. It was good.
I know I should have. I can't remember what it was because like Dan and Justin and a couple of other guys watched it at a friend's house, and I must have not been in town. I think I might have been on a work trip or something. But yeah, I'm disappointed not to see it because the show sounded amazing, actually.
Yeah, it was definitely the uh, best that they've done this year.
I mean, it's no amazing wrestling federation, but it sounded amazing nonetheless.
Yeah, the least you can say is the best that they've done this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you tend to keep up with at all wrestling these days? I mean, do you still watch wrestling, or?
Since I got a PVR in my room, because prior to that, I didn't really at all. Since I got the PVR in my room, I actually have been taping. I've been taping Raw, SmackDown, and Impact, and I sort of watch each show in about 15 minutes.
That sounds about
And
right.
I
Just
give myself
wrestling.
yeah, sometimes less. I remember one day it was like I had like a bunch of stuff backlogged. I think I had like 2 2-hour Impacts, 2 SmackDowns, and 2 Raws, one of which was 3 hours. And I think I watched the whole thing in 1 hour. So it was not a great couple weeks for the product.
I
Apparently,
remember
but yeah,
staying in the shack in the El Diablo shack once, and he had an Impact
yeah.
recorded or something, and he just knew what time to skip to see the matches and to skip the promos because the structure was the same every week of when there would be
Oh, really? That's
a
funny.
match. So it's like 22 minutes in, first match. Okay, for sure, definitely. So it's like how more formulaic and they had this whole wrestling matters thing, I guess, and then immediately went back to the same format where there's still very little wrestling. So
Oh yeah, exactly the same. They very quickly forgot that it in fact mattered. But that being said, they've actually been building to their big pay-per-view for the last like 3 4 weeks very well. And I'm actually going to watch it, and I haven't watched a TNA pay-per-view in many months.
what's going to be on that then?
Sting Hogan, which is morbidly fascinating, and the world title match is Kurt Angle defending against Bobby Roode, and actually built up Bobby Roode fantastic considering he's never been a singles main eventer. And I feel like there's some other decent stuff on it. I think there's an AJ Daniels because I'm pretty sure there's an AJ Daniels on every TNA pay-per-view. And I think an RVD, Jerry Lynn, whatever their equivalent of a TLC match is. So that'll be interesting too.
Okay, well maybe.
And and Austin Aries defending the X Division title against Brian Kendrick, who is maybe the worst wrestler in TNA right now.
Quick heads up. You've met you've met Barnsey. Have you had any conversations with Barnsey, Voodoo?
Yep. A little bit. I know he enjoys a conspiracy theory.
Okay. If you want to recreate those brief conversations, I suggest you listen to the Brian Kendrick edition of the Art of Wrestling podcast with Colt Cabana.
Okay.
However, if you do not enjoy listening to conspiracy theories for an hour, I would avoid that episode. It's interesting.
I did enjoy the Brian Kendrick Paul London
shoot
or whatever the hell that was.
That was brilliant. I was also a fan of that. I do like going back to the Vince McMahon limo explosion just to watch Paul London standing
Paul London laugh at him and ruin his career.
Yeah. It was worth it, definitely. Did you ever see the Pop
Totally.
London YouTube channel? What's it called? The Bearskin Rug or something like that. On the Bearskin Rug. It was just sort of short form sort of videos of himself just doing things, basically. There was one particular though where he's watching the segment in TNA where Orlando Jordan is doing his heel bisexual gimmick where he's like putting the lotion on himself.
Oh yeah, that shit was gross.
Yeah, and he's just laughing at it, and he like turns to the camera, and he's like, "I would never work for them." It's like, who could blame him?
Yeah, I think I remember hearing about that exact scene. Actually, I never. No, I don't think I ever watched any of them.
It's just, who, and isn't Orlando Jordan sort of responsible for more morbid things as well? Like there was something to do with how like Chris Kanyon was pitching like a face sort of gay or bisexual character, and
yes, absolutely.
it was something like they didn't take to it or something, and he thought he had a lot of faith in the idea. Then they immediately did the heel bisexual character with Orlando Jordan.
Yeah.
Probably not the best thing.
And really, when that happens, what other option do you have but to kill yourself?
None that I can think of immediately.
Exactly.
But very tragic. At least it wasn't foreshadowed by Joey Styles as Mike Awesome's was during.
Yeah, that's definitely an awkward thing to go back and watch.
Very.
I wonder if Joey feels like a dick about that. Probably not, because he really hates Mike Awesome.
Yeah. But your favorite VCW's collective most favorite match to watch, Mike Awesome versus Spike Dudley. Am I right?
Well, of course you're right, because it's the best match of all time.
I didn't realize just how amazing it was until I sat down and watched it with all of you.
Yeah, but you understand now, right?
Completely. The opening spot is a gorilla press slam to the outside through a table.
Yeah.
How can you
so good.
Can you improve on that?
You can't. Well, apparently by breaking like 8 more tables. God damn, that match is fantastic. Because I think we had watched it in 2000 when it happened and loved it then, and then I think probably didn't revisit it for 5 or so years, and then I think we were talking about it one day and we're like, wonder if that match holds up. It was really just them breaking a lot of tables, so we watched it and we're like, oh, it's even better than we remember. This match is fucking fantastic.
Are there any other sort of hidden gems from the past that still hold up today that you can you think are worth people going back on?
Well, that's definitely one, and I think like I really liked because we started getting ECW pay-per-views in Canada. Anarchy Rules '99 was the first one, so September '99, and we got them all the way to the end in January 2001, and I remember like I never was unentertained by one. They were always really fun pay-per-views, and like we've definitely talked about sometimes like I wonder if those hold up. I bet I haven't watched a lot of them in years, but I think a lot of them hold up to an extent just because they're fun. Like they're the opposite of TNA where everything is miserable and people are screaming at each other.
And people are
fun pay-per-views.
People are having strokes in the middle of promos.
Yes.
I was redirected back to that clip by the fact that you've put all your episodes upon your YouTube, and I was like, what else have you got on YouTube?
Yeah, the only I've got 21 I-Suck-Sticks videos, and then Ric Flair having a stroke and Kingpin as Super Dragon is my entire YouTube channel.
This is my favorite thing. The torpedo. Oh, I also love Dan's rendition of it, whatever episode it was.
Yeah, I think I think it was our first pay-per-view, so like show 7, something like that. Yeah, so yeah, Dan did which actually the concept of what we did is actually something I don't like, doing a parody of something that's already comedy. But this actually worked, unlike all those movies that have movie in the title,
Yeah.
like Epic Movie and all those things that parody existing comedies and just embarrass themselves.
Yeah. And everyone watching them, I can't watch those. I really can't.
Yeah.
But how many episodes are you up to now? 16? 17?
We've done 18 and plus 3 not numbered. So there are 21 videos.
Okay. Do you have ones that you've still in the bag or you've filmed?
We don't have any full shows in the bag. I think we have 4 matches taped that aren't out yet, but need more stuff on the show in order for them to be put out. But yeah, so we have more stuff coming.
Cool. And it's sort of, how often are you running at the moment? So it didn't go back, is it sort of like less intense than it was before? Like intense?
Yes, definitely not every week. We were, at some points we were doing every second week. The heaviest we ever did was 2 out of every 3 weeks. Lately, because we got sort of off track when we went to Chicago in early September, and just a couple weeks before and after that didn't do much. So we haven't done much in like a month, sort of. But yeah, I think we'll try to sort of do 2 out of every 3 weeks going forward for the next little bit. Because that seems to work okay for everyone, and not everyone is at every show anyway. So like the most anyone is doing is 2 out of 3 weeks, and some people end up doing 1 out of 3 weeks. So it's not like it's super intense.
And have you managed to avoid injuries and strains as a result? Or?
Yeah, we've actually been pretty fine injury wise. It's a different ring than we had at the end of VCW. It's a lot more forgiving, which is nice. It's not like it's super soft, but I think anything compared to the last ring would have been great, and this was. And actually, we haven't. Apparently, they have extra padded the ring since we last used it, so apparently it's going to be even nicer next time we use it, which is something nice to look forward to. The only injury, Dan is always sort of banged up.
Yeah.
Just because he's had so much stuff. Because he's got like the constant back thing basically, and he hurt his elbow in Chicago last month actually. And then Kelly had a pinched nerve in his back from that big tag match we did. We taped it in April. It probably aired in May. Me and Kelly against it was Dan's comeback match. Me and Kelly against Dan and Chewy. And Kelly got a pinched nerve in his back from a Dan Trapper Keeper. And then actually it really sucked for Kelly because he had a pinched nerve in his back, came back, had 1 match, and then broke his finger playing basketball.
That was WrestleMania, if I'm reading correctly.
Yeah, you are correct. It was at WrestleMania where Kelly had that first injury. But,
so we've had
yeah.
Starrcade, WrestleMania, Bash at the Beach.
Bash at the Beach just came out. I think we're going to be taping Halloween Havoc pretty soon. I'm not sure.
That would make sense. Definitely.
Halloween Havoc or Halloween Havoc with possibility. Depending if we go into November, it could be a Survivor Series situation.
Can it be?
Could be In Your House Ground Zero. We're going a little more obscure.
Could it be Halloween Havoc '97? Because I love that one.
We will, if we do Halloween Havoc, we will try to make it 97. We will try to have a fantastic undercard and then just a piece of shit main event.
Okay, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Awesome. Uh, so I'm glad to see that that Wade is holding the belt, and I'm glad to see that Drew is in contention, or like, because those are the two guys who sort of were never in that picture in VCW. So it's good to see things mixing up.
Yeah, for sure, because you can't just have the same guys in the main events all the time, and we tried to be pretty conscious of that, and yeah, and we figured we could we kind of build it around Wade, and I think it's actually worked really well, and it stuff's a lot more meaningful when a guy is really protected win wise. So if he ever loses, it's like a big deal, and either you're rooting for him to win, rooting for him not to win. But yeah, I think it's worked out well, and obviously we got him and Drew, number one contender, coming up sometime. So, and they, despite being in the same Fed since 2004, have never had a singles match.
Why do you think that was? Is it just that they didn't think their styles would match?
I think because Drew was scared of him, and rightfully so.
I don't think I've ever had a one-to-one with Wade. I think the only time I've ever even met him was the first time I came over. I don't remember even seeing him around at any of the shows since.
Yeah, he actually had really poor Super Show attendance, come to think of it, because he's around for one day of when we hosted Backyard Fest 8, and then he was not there for Versus the World 2. He was there for one day of Versus the World 4, where he got super high with Hitler, and they had a fairly disappointing match for two really good guys. And then wasn't there for any Super shows after.
Nope. But would you say he's like different, more reliable now? Is his sort of
Definitely.
personality sort of different, or?
Yeah, it definitely has changed. Not a total 180. Like, obviously some of his key traits are always going to be there, which it's what makes him him, which is fine. But yeah, he really got rid of a lot of the bad and added a lot of good. So like I said, honestly, since we restarted, I can't say a bad thing about him. He's like one of, if not the most committed guy as far as like showing up and like being enthusiastic.
Sort of reminds me a bit of Ross El Diablo, in the way that in the early days, back in like 03 or 04, like he had sort of a bad reputation for being a guy who would I don't think he was ever like unreliable or anything, but I don't think he was particularly widely liked. Maybe he would agree with that or not, I don't know. Maybe he's going to beat me up next time he sees me, I don't know. But let's take that chance and just continue on.
Maybe he'll drop you on your head with a pyramid head again.
Maybe I'll just throw him off the apron again and nearly...
Exactly, you can go tit for tat on insane head drops.
Yeah, that definitely had them, as well as plenty of cakes as well, I remember that.
Yes.
By the way, cake or steak?
Steak, hello.
God, so tempting to just hang up on you right now.
You knew what you were getting into.
In fact, I'm looking now at, on Facebook you can have like the relationship pages where it's like things you share with a certain person, and I'm trying to find a picture to put as the the little thumbnail for this episode, and the first picture I see for you and me is just me looking very cross at you with my back turned to you, and you look just...
The lemonade picture?
The lemonade picture. Oh. And it fits this whole cake and steak conversation perfectly. It was terrible lemonade.
You are too hard on that lemonade.
No, I was not. Oh, and we also belong to a group called Cake vs. Steak.
Yes. Although we are on opposite sides of that group.
True. I can't remember if this. Oh yeah, I was talking about Ross. But yeah, he's definitely become or became one of the more committed and enthusiastic and diehard enthusiasts to NAW around sort of 07, 08. Because he was always in NAW, but he was always sort of in the background a little bit.
Yeah.
But towards the end, he was like one of the main guys who was always there and always could count on to do good stuff. And
yeah, that's always cool when a guy who people are down on for whatever reason, if it's whether it's skill or attendance or reliability or likability or whatever, and then they through their actions kind of change people's opinion and get really into it. It's always really cool to see that.
I just remember because I was sort of the person who would try and recruit people to come over to Canada with me, kind of successfully the first and third times, but completely failing the second time. But I remember the third time when it was, well, the first time it was me, Denzel, Steve Farrell, Billy, and John.
Yeah.
And the third time I had Steve, Dave Williams, Gavin, and Ross.
Yeah.
I just remember like telling people, oh, here's a list of people who have come up, or oh, blah blah blah, El Diablo, and people were just like, oh, cool. It's like without actually saying it, sort of like, well done, Alex. But I think you'll agree that Ross, there's an awful lot to like about Ross.
Oh yeah, Ross is good times.
Yeah. Haircut included.
Absolutely. And I've seen his mom naked. Fact.
I was wondering whether to bring this up, and I don't know why I even wondered, because of course it had to come up. Tell this story.
You were definitely foolish to wonder whether or not this would get mentioned.
This has just been building up for about an hour and a half. So we're staying in Ross's shack.
Yeah.
And it's the morning, and people need to go about their business in the morning. I'm going to just let you take over and tell the rest of the story.
Well, for those who know Ross's shack, it is bathroomless.
Except for the bucket.
Except for the bucket, which is really only good for half of what I needed to do. It didn't seem like a full. Didn't seem like a full service station.
Unless you are Baza, if you are to.
Unless you're a Baza, which I believe that is frowned upon. So I went into the house, which had a proper bathroom, and did my business there. I thankfully finished my business, or else this story could have been less enjoyable for me. And I hear just insane foreign ranting on the other side of the door, and I didn't think it was directed at me or whatever was on whatever they thought was on my side of the door. So I ignored it. I think I was just washing my hands or something, and then I sort of a Doppler effect. I hear the ranting get louder, and then with little to no warning, the I believe locked door comes flying open, possibly as a result of a Steven Seagal front kick. I'm not sure how the door flew open like that, because I'm like nearly 100% that I locked it. And there is Mrs. Dempsey, or I don't know if she goes by that last name, but whatever, with a very open bathrobe, I guess expecting to yell at Ross. I don't know why Ross wouldn't have been allowed to use the bathroom. But maybe he has to. Maybe he's relegated to the shack.
They gave him that bucket, and they expect him to use it.
Here's the bucket. Use it. Stay
Maybe
out
he's
of
maybe he's not house trained. I don't know.
It's possible, but apparently the whatever I was doing was a no-no. If I was Ross, she came in and was about to scream something else, and then saw that I wasn't Ross, became very embarrassed, and ran away, and left me with an awesome story.
I just love sort of like how you sort of kept yourself together and acted played it cool until we were driving away from the house, and then it's sort of like, so.
So, saw Ross's mom naked.
Oh, and before we go, because I feel I said at the start with doing all these that I would try and keep it to an hour, and we're already at an hour and a half. But fuck it. But I'll try and
I don't know, with some slick editing, I think you can get it down to a good 12 to 14 minutes.
If I just do the same as when you're watching WWE and TNA.
Exactly. If you do the me watching Raw version of this, then you can get it down to nice and tight.
Okay, but one last thing about that whole trip.
Sure.
When I remember we dropped Dan off at the airport, and then you had like another 2 weeks or something in England. And
yeah, something like that. It was like 10 days, 2 weeks, somewhere in there.
Our next port of call on the way home, of course, was the Irwin household.
Yes.
Which was completely, I can't remember the reason why. I think I'd heard from someone or seen on Facebook that people were there on their Heat Fest come down.
Yes.
And so decided that we were going to go there. And I just remember getting near there, not quite knowing how to get to Adz's house. So I rang him up, and literally he didn't sound like he was even the same person. It was just like, Alex, you need to go to the roundabout and turn the second left, and then you will find my house. So I have no idea how we actually got there.
Yeah, I do remember there being some complications, but we eventually found it.
We watched Royal Rumble 2000, which is a fantastic event.
Yes.
It's so good that it can be watched 3 times within the space of 12 hours. Apparently.
Still good. That is the test of a pay-per-view holds up. You can watch it 3 times in 12 hours and not hate it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, by the way, do you remember Mooncat? Was it Mooncat, the name of the cat? I'm sure you do, because
yes, it was Mooncat.
You are a cat man. I
yes.
almost hear Billy Gunn's music in my head, but with the lyrics. But sadly,
we've actually with Kelly, we've replaced several words in several well-known theme songs with Wolf. We definitely did "I'm a Wolf Man" to Billy Gunn's theme. We did we did "I Am a Real American Wolf" to Hulk Hogan's theme, and a couple others. Oh, replacing "Dream" with Wolf in Dusty Rhodes' theme. So.
I love it if that was actually Eddie Edwards and David Richards' theme song.
No, I think it was.
You might be right. In fact, you are. Whatever you say is gospel. So if you want,
yeah, I thought that's what we're going with. I thought that was the premise of this.
Okay.
Whatever goofy shit I say is correct.
Okay, good. We definitely played a similar game with. It was like well, it's the big bass, and
yes, I remember Baz themed entrance music.
Yeah, that was I'm not sure if that was separate or I think it was separate to the whole playing theme music in front of someone's car in the dark game at Heatfest.
Yeah.
There's tons of stories that could be told about those kind of events, and I'm very glad that Luke thought to film it and edit it into a neat hour and a half, 2 hour package. And I hope it is.
Yeah, good for him. That was a really nice little piece.
Yeah, Luke's good at that kind of thing, definitely. So, but I think a lot of events could have benefited from that. Like, 'cause over time, I know my memory sort of, like, I can remember things when people talk about them, but I couldn't pluck them out of my own head.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It'd be nice to have that kind of stuff more documented, so you could relive it better than vaguely remembering it.
Yeah, I remember you having a notebook of in-jokes as they were happening. I think that's the first time you came over in 2008.
Yes, I think we did that for Heatfest in 2008.
Then wrote it up on the forum later on, I think.
Yeah, because by that time, for a lot of big North American super shows, I don't think we had very often actually written them down as they were happening, but that's obviously the best way to remember everything. But right after the shows, we'd post an inside joke thread. So so for that one, we actually wrote them down and pretty much got all of them, which was nice.
Yeah. I wonder if any of those threads is the Backyard Wrestling forum still there? I have no idea.
The link, yes, it is.
I used to have it bookmarked, but I have no idea where to find it now.
It's what is it? I think it's just the BYWLink.com/forum. Let me check. Yes, it is. Yeah. So it's there. It is getting zero traffic, but it's there.
Yeah, it's sort of been this whole Facebook group has, for better or worse, sort of taken over. Do you think it's a better way of...
Is what it is, yeah. Well, it's fine. I guess the message board definitely was more organized because Facebook is just a string of whatever, and the message board, you've got like different forums for everything. And if you got enough people on it, obviously it's good.
I suppose you like things organized, but I don't know.
I do like things organized, yeah. But yeah, for what it is now, it gets the job done. It's just it's too bad the forums sort of fell by the wayside. I don't know if that was a result of Facebook or what.
It was dying anyway. I think it was pretty much dead before you. Was it you who made it or Shui? I don't know.
The Facebook group?
Yeah.
I think the Link Facebook group was Jonah, actually.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, I know. Surprising. Not the first person you'd think to actually make it, but I'm pretty sure I remember seeing him as the admin on it or something. Because it's not me for sure.
I thought that you were an admin on it. Oh, never mind.
I may be an admin, but I definitely didn't create it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I made the UK one not long after, basically because the forum went down, and then like a week and a half or 2 weeks passed, and it didn't seem like there would be another forum, so I just made the Facebook group.
Yeah, and then you're like, the new forum is back up, so I should maybe do something about this.
Yeah, and immediately as soon as I made the Facebook group, someone made a forum, which immediately failed to anything on it. So now people just use the Facebook group. And initially it sort of got backlash, so Facebook has killed the forum, but at least people have a place to do their talking.
Yeah, exactly. It's they got somewhere, and I think Facebook killed the forum is a weird way to say it, because the forum died and the Facebook thing was necessitated by there not being a forum.
Yeah, that's how I see it, I think. If it wasn't dead already, it definitely sort of... I think it was dead and then Facebook buried it, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
So, damn, I wanted to end on the story about Ross's mum, but more.
Again, with the editing, you can. In fact, the story about Ross's mom can be the only thing on the podcast. A 4-minute podcast about seeing Ross's mom naked.
Okay, it's a deal. But regardless, it was a good rest of the chat as well, even if no one else said it, which they won't. I'm not going to post it.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't felt like we're 40. That went by really quick. So I hope that means it was at least listenable.
Yeah. That was my concern, that if I did it more than like an hour, then people would be overwhelmed by having like 2 hours or an hour and a half every week or whatever to listen to. But you know what? This makes up for the past week and a half of there not being one, so that works.
There you go. This is 1.5 shows.
Yeah. Okay. Am I gonna have to number this?
That's how you can sell it anyway.
So is this going to be number 2, and then the next one's going to be 3.5? This is going to get confusing.
Ugh, yeah, that's.
I think I'm going to not do that.
You mentioned.
I think that's a terrible idea. I might edit that out.
Yeah, I would recommend that. But yeah, it's been fun. We actually haven't talked in real time in a while, so I'm glad we got to, and we should do it more, whether we're being recorded or not.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. And hopefully, in real life, face-to-face meetings at some point.
You got 2.5 months. I already told you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You've got 2.5 months to come. I'm pretty sure it's your turn, right? I don't remember.
I'd rather not.
Okay. We'll just agree to. I'm going to be straight with you, Scott. I'm not coming back in the next 2.5 months.
Oh, well, we'll have to agree.
We're never going back.
We have to go back.
I missed that show.
I know.
I just got into Dexter though, so.
Good show to get into. In fact.
Are you keeping up? Was it 6th season now?
Yeah. I'm up to date.
I'm only on like the 5th season or 5th episode or so of season 3. So.
Okay, that's season 4 is awesome.
Oh, that's good, because I was
that's the John Lithgow season.
Really? Ooh. Good.
Yeah. And he's the man.
I was sort of thinking when the first 2 seasons were great, but I sort of felt like there wasn't anything. Like season 3 wasn't really necessary because everything was sort of wrapped up, and like.
Yeah, three's okay. The best seasons thus far have been 1.
Right, because it sort of felt with 2, it's like that's like the ultimate Dexter storyline kind of thing, if you know what I mean. Like I felt like the whole show would be leading to when all that stuff happened, and then it's like only the 2nd season. But anyway, see how that goes. Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to season 4 since you said that though. Cool.
Yeah, it's great.
Right, well, I suppose I'll cut you loose now because my girlfriend keeps sighing and she's like finding...
Hit her.
I'm not going to do that. But I might do other things. So, that's where I'm going to leave you.
All right, well, yeah, thanks for having me on the show, episode 2. I hope you have at least 2 more episodes.
That's more optimistic than I am, so thanks for passing that along.
You think you're done at 3?
Maybe 2, I don't know. No, hopefully I have more people. People seem to be willing to do it, so... And I was supposed to have someone on...
okay, that's good.
Last week, but it just didn't... Like, timing, scheduling didn't work out, so we'll do that again some other time. So keep.
All right. Well, I'll definitely be listening, and I'll be listening to this one because I love the sound of my own voice.
Me too. So there's always 2 views, 2 listens that we can look forward to.
Yes, you will have upwards of two listens on this one.
Which, actually, no, the first one didn't do too badly, considering I thought people would think, oh, it's just Alex and Chris having a conversation. They talk all the time. This is going to suck. But that was just a result of me being lazy and knowing that I could talk to Chris for an hour. So.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you for being on, and enjoy the rest of what I think is some sort of Canadian holiday.
It is Canadian Thanksgiving, so I'm just enjoying my last few hours of that before going back to work tomorrow. So, yeah, thanks for having me on, and look forward to seeing it up, and have a good one, Alex.
Okay, you too, Scott. See you again.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.